Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to the 5th episode of Foodie Fridays. My name is Delano Hunter and I am proud to serve as the director of the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. And we're here on location again at one of my favorite recreation centers, the Culinary Center in the Kenilworth Recreation Center in the Great Ward 7. And we have a very special guest again, also an amazing chef, the CEO of Howard University Hospital, Miss Anita Jenkins. And she is preparing one of my favorite dishes, something that I feel that I specialize in, but she's going to do it to a much higher level and a much healthier level. So please, thank you for joining us and tell us about what you have in store for us on the 5th episode.
No pressure. No pressure for the 5th episode. What we're making today is a sweet potato pecan dish. Sweet potatoes are obviously one of the most nutritious vegetables and they're pretty cheap. So you can make this dish. Sweet potatoes were about 60 cents a pound when I bought this. This is 3 pounds of sweet potatoes in preparation for this baked dish. You put a few eggs in it, a little milk, you put the pecans on top, you make a pecan crumble, and it is an excellent side dish for your family. My husband and I have 5 children, and not only did they say this is how you should make sweet potatoes instead of candied yams, but it is also a staple at Thanksgiving. So I hope you enjoy.
Now, before you start to cook, I'll admit I won't be able to focus and concentrate once the smells start to I start to smell these delicious ingredients. Now, I want to know about Howard University Hospital and the services that you all provide to those that may not have a primary care physician.
So first of all, having a primary care physician is probably the most important healthcare decision you can make. You have to have that basic health care. How's my blood pressure doing? How is my sugar doing? In other words, do I have diabetes or am I pre-diabetic? So it is important for you to have a regular doctor. Howard University Hospital, if you don't have one, we can provide one. Through our residency program and through the physicians that are at the hospital, we can definitely provide a physician for you so that you can be seen. We want to make sure that you don't have those pre-existing conditions that affect your life and your lifespan. So we can, you just come.
All right, that is amazing. Thank you so much again. You're doing it on both ends. You're able to
My
cook
pleasure.
and also to keep us healthy.
My pleasure. That's the mom, so this is a mom recipe right here.
All right, let's jump into it.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me again for my contribution to this recipe. Today I'm going to make a sweet potato casserole with pecan crumble on top. It's really delicious, but let's just start with how we do this. These are boiled sweet potatoes. And boiled sweet potatoes are very, very easy to mash. They have a lot of natural sugars. I've seen people bake them and that just enhances the flavor some. But if you're in a rush, let's just boil those potatoes. The water gets in them a little bit and makes them makes them soft as well. I'll show you what they look like. You finish boiling a sweet potato and it's just super easy. Cut off that tip, that one, cut down that side, and look, your sweet potatoes peeled. Mash it, and then you're ready to prepare your meal. This is a wonderful side dish. It does freeze well, but I promise you, for those who like sweet potatoes, it won't last long. This is 3 cups of sweet potatoes. How do I know that? Generally, about 3 pounds of sweet potatoes makes this much. This will make this dish, and it also makes 2 sweet potato pies, but that's a different show. So it's about 3 pounds. When you're in the grocery store and you don't know how much that is, just go and weigh it. You've got 3 pounds. Sweet potatoes are cheap and highly nutritious. So I think these were about 60 cents a pound. So now you know how much this dish is going to kind of start costing as we make this lovely dish. About a half teaspoon of salt. I could measure, but I'm not going to. And then a half stick of butter. You know, my mom's recipe, back in the day, they started saying that margarine was better for you. It has polyunsaturated fats. The same amount of fats as butter, only it's, I think it's a few chemistry classes away from plastic. So, no. It's better to be careful about how much butter you use and use butter instead. Half a stick of melted butter, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, and a little more, just a little more. comes from how many times have I made this recipe, and then I go, should have had a little more. The recipe calls for a whole cup of sugar, but it almost doesn't need that much. So I put about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Keep mixing in your ingredients so that you never have any big bunches of non-mixed ingredients. Super easy to do, and it's fast. So your sugar's in, 2 eggs beaten, super simple. Throw it in, and then you add a 1/2 cup of milk. Your ingredients for the sweet potato casserole are done. Why do you put eggs in recipes like this? It helps firm them up a little bit. That sweet potato would get in the oven and be rather mushy, and so you want to add some eggs. It makes it become a little bit more like a custard. And look at that. Looks delicious. Does look like a sweet potato pie there, except it does not have the sweet potato pie flavors that you're used to, the nutmeg or allspice or cinnamon that you put in a sweet potato pie. Here's your basic casserole. Again, it lasts long, your family loves it, and then you can put that, so shake that down a little bit so it flattens out a little bit. The crumble on top is what really makes it unique. A cup of brown sugar is your next ingredient. So what we're making is a very nice sweet crumble with pecans, brown sugar, flour, and a little butter. Okay, 1/2 cup of flour. Here we go. What that flour does is helps that crumble stay together, and it also bakes quite nicely. This is your crumble top, and the last thing that goes in there is some melted butter. And you put that in. You want to stir that butter around until it makes a nice mixture, as much as possible. I have been known to add a little more butter, but I think we're good. And all you have to do is just take this crumble and add it to the top of your sweet potato casserole. You're gonna put this in the oven too at about 350, and you know, be careful. It can burn if you leave it there too long. So you want to make sure that you're watching it no longer than about 30 minutes or so. Don't forget, your sweet potatoes are already done. All you're doing is really just caramelizing that brown sugar and that flour and making that crumble delicious. That's your dish. I hope your family enjoys.